Hello everyone, Michael O'Brien here, and today we're going to talk about 5 more phrases and terms in magic that you may or may not have heard of. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Advice for Magicians, where my goal is to help you to become the best possible performer that you can be. And in the world of magic, oftentimes you'll hear people talk about certain things, and they'll use magician lingo, magician jargon, whatever you want to call it, and you'll just think to yourself like, huh? Like, what the heck are you talking about? It's like listening to someone speak in a foreign language, or it's like listening to a computer programmer talk about ones and zeros, and you're like, I have no idea what this binary language is that you're even talking about. So in this series of videos, I wanted to kind of just talk about some of these terms so that when you hear them, you know exactly what magicians are talking about. I've already done a couple of other episodes of this. Make sure to check out those episodes as well so that you guys can stay caught up on some of these magic terms. If you guys have a magic term that you think other people should know about, go ahead and drop it in the comment section below of this video here. And I will put together another video talking about some of those magic terms as well. So think about that for a moment. That's your question of the day. I'm going to drop it right here at the beginning of the video. What are some magic terms that you guys didn't know anything about, and then until finally someone explained it to you, and now you're like, okay, now I know what that is. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in right after these announcements. If you have not already done so, make sure to click the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell. That way you know every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to support the channel for just $1 a month, consider clicking the join button and becoming a Mob Squad member. Members will get access to a bunch of really cool stuff, including magic tutorials, early access to videos, emojis, badges, and even discounts at O'Brien Magic Shop. All that for just $1 a month. So what are you waiting for? Click the join button and I'll even shout your name out just like these lovely people. So ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and welcome to the Mob Squad membership 1111 Yellow Flash 1111. Thank you so much. And Jody Robbins. Thank you so much for becoming members. Thank you to all of my subscribers and for all of you watching at home. It really means a lot for all of the love and support. It's because of you that I am able to keep this channel going. So let's go ahead now and take a look at 5 terms that you may or may not heard of, may or may not have ever heard of before. All right, number 1 is patter. You might have heard someone say, oh man, I really liked your patter. Or, oh man, I'm trying to put some patter together for this routine, but I just don't quite know what I should do, right? When we say patter, all we're referring to is the written script, essentially. So in a magic trick, for example, the presentation and the performance might be, let's just say, an ambitious card routine. So the card is coming up to the top of the deck over and over again, right? So the presentation is that the card is coming up to the top. Maybe it's because the magician has the ability to make the card melt through the other cards, right? And then the routine, of course, being the ambitious card routine and all that stuff. So the patter is the actual written script, the words that the magician speaks during the routine. So you're writing together an act and the magician says, you know, the reason that the card is able to come up to the top is because you have to believe that it melts through all of the other cards. All of those words that I'm speaking there, that is the magician's patter, right? So when someone says, oh man, that patter was really good. I really liked how you blended that into the routine. Or, I don't know what patter to use for this. All they're saying is basically what I'm gonna say while I'm performing the routine. Next up is a sucker effect. Now, a sucker effect essentially is any piece of magic where you tell the spectator that you're gonna teach them how it works, and they're following along step by step, learning how the trick works, and then at the end, they realize you didn't really teach them how it worked, you actually hit them with another magic effect. Now, this could be really fun piece of magic to perform, but it could also make people angry, like you lied to them and that they didn't get to learn the secret. So you have to make sure if you're gonna perform a sucker effect that it's done so in a way that's very magical and very fun and lighthearted, right? The perfect example of this is the handkerchief silk illusion, right? So you take a handkerchief, You stuff it into your hand, you wave your hand over the handkerchief, and it turns into an egg, right? And then you say, I'm gonna teach you guys how I did this trick. So you bring a spectator up with you and you say, we're gonna do this side by side, you're gonna show it to everybody, and we're gonna learn how to do this trick together. So you say the way that this works is that the egg is actually hollow, and we're gonna hide the handkerchief inside the egg. So you give them the egg, you give them the handkerchief, you have your own egg and your own handkerchief, and you say, we're gonna stand side by side and we're gonna perform this together for everybody. So you hide the egg in your hand and you stick the handkerchief all the way inside the egg, and you can see the little red part. You stuff that all the way down as far as you can in with your thumb, right? So if you show it like this, you can see the red part. So you just make sure to cover the red part with your thumb so that when you open everything, you could show the handkerchief is gone and it's gone into the egg. But they think that it's just a real egg, right? Now, here's the really hard part that most people don't know. It's how to be able to show the egg all around, because you kind of can't really do that because you can see like the handkerchief sticking out the back. Unless, of course, you snap your fingers, then you can peel that red sticker off, throw that away, and you crack the egg open and you can show them that it is a real egg. So that's an example of a sucker effect, because this whole time they're thinking, oh, you just hide the handkerchief in the egg. But even after revealing that, you're hitting them with another magic effect, because you've just showed them that's how it works, but then you're cracking the egg open and it's a real egg. So that's not really how the trick works. So that's an example of a sucker effect, right? Another example of a sucker effect on a really small scale is coins across. So what I like to do is I show the coin. I have 4 coins here. This hand is empty. And now 1 coin has traveled from here to here. And I say, a lot of people want to know how that works. And I'll go ahead and show you. It's really easy. You see, what I actually do is I use my sleeve to hide the coin. And then they go, oh yeah, that makes sense. We know that magicians use their sleeves. And I go, yeah, watch, I'll show you. So I flick the coin up my sleeve. It goes up around my shoulders, down the other sleeve, clink, and it meets the other one over here. And so now they're like, okay, you're BSing me now. That's not obviously really how the trick works. It doesn't really travel across your arms into the other one. So it's a sucker effect. You're pretending like you're gonna teach them how the trick works, but in reality, you're setting them up for another magic effect. Like I said, these can be really fun and really interesting things to add into your magic. Just make sure it's done in a lighthearted way. You don't want to lie to people and tell them that you're going to teach them how it works and then don't, because they will get really upset if you do that. But if you keep it fun and lighthearted, like the one with the egg, or the one like with the coin thing that I just showed you, a sucker effect can be a really powerful thing to add into your magic. Next up is the magician in trouble. Now this is a plot in magic and where it looks like the magician messed up. It's very similar to a sucker effect, but with the sucker effect, you're explaining how the trick is done. With the magician in trouble, you're pretending like you messed up. Like, uh-oh, this didn't go right. Now what do I do? But in reality, it's all planned, it's all part of it, and it's gonna lead into this bigger magic effect, right? So for example, one sucker effect that I like to do is when I'm doing my 2-card transposition routine. So I have 2 different cards chosen from 2 different spectators. I lose them both in the deck is shuffled, and I say, I'm gonna find your card with just 3 cuts. 1, 2, 3, there's your card. Was that your card? And they say, yes. I'm like, perfect, we'll go ahead and stick that aside. Now I gotta find your card, but yours is gonna be even harder because it's gonna shoot out the middle of the deck. I'm gonna catch it over here. Watch, 1, 2, 3 cuts, snap, it shoots out of the middle of the deck and I catch it. There was your card, the Ace of Diamonds. No, that wasn't my card. Really, that wasn't your card? Okay, just kidding. Don't worry, it's all part of the act, folks. I'm actually gonna change your card. What was your card? Oh, it was the 2 of Hearts. I just give it a little shake and a change, and it changes into... Wait a minute. Wasn't that your card? If that's your card, then what's... Oh, your 2 of Hearts. So it feels like I'm kind of screwing up the trick over and over again, but then there's this magical punchline at the end, right? Another example of this is my Nintendo routine, where I have my NES console there, and I have a deck full of Nintendo trading cards, and they choose a variety of different games. I have like 4 or 5 people choose a game, and it's essentially like a tossed out deck routine. They choose a game, and I read each person's mind, and I tell them what game that they're thinking of. Well, I added a magician in trouble element to that, where the last person's game, I get it wrong, and Everyone sits down except for that one person. I'm like, oh man, really? I messed up? Like I didn't get your game? What was your game? And they tell me what their game was, and I go, oh, well, that's my favorite game. I mean, that's the last one that I played. Ta-da! And they're just like, okay. And I'll be like, you don't believe me. In fact, I don't think I've even taken it out of the console. I think it's still in there. And then they walk over to the Nintendo console and they pull out the game, and it's the one that they were thinking of. It truly was the last game that I played, and I was able to prove that because it was in the console. So that's an example of a magician in trouble plot, right? You pretend like you're screwing up the trick, but in reality, you're building up to a even bigger reveal, and it just builds up the climax a little bit more. So like a sucker effect, a magician in trouble could be a really cool and interesting thing to add into your act. Next up, we're going to talk about something called Look, No, See. Now, this is something that usually children's entertainers will add into their act, but essentially what it is it's kind of a combination of like a magician in trouble, but it's a little bit different because, yeah, the magician is screwing up, but the magician is screwing up without realizing it. You're actually having the audience tell you that you're screwing up. So here's a perfect example, right? I have this little ball, right? It's a little yellow ball. I'm going to place it in my hand and it's going to turn red, okay? Ta-da! And so now we have a red ball. Isn't that a really cool trick? But you're still holding the yellow ball. So the kids usually will, no, it didn't work. It's still yellow. And you'll be like, what do you mean it didn't work? Yeah, it's a red ball. But you're not looking at it. You're keeping it like kind of behind your head. Yeah, it's a red ball. Like it worked. And everyone's like, no, it didn't work. And then you look, oh, that was supposed to change red. That was kind of weird, right? You say, watch, we'll do it again. The yellow ball is going to change red, just like this, right? 1, 2, 3. And now it's a blue ball. You see? It changed. Now it's a red ball. And the kids are freaking out because, yeah, it changed, but it's not a red ball. It's a blue ball. What do you mean it's a blue ball? No, it's a red ball. And then you look, oh, it is a blue ball. That was weird. That wasn't supposed to happen. Another example of it is like with the chop cup. So you have the chop cup on the table and you say, look, I'm going to take the little red ball, right? Nothing underneath the cup. I take the little red ball and I put it in my pocket. Isn't that cool? And then they go, the ball, it's back on the table. And you're like, what are you talking about? No, the cup is empty. There's nothing in the cup. Oh, the ball is back. Here, let me go ahead and put that back there. And now there is nothing there. No ball to see, no ball to find. And all the kids, oh, it's on the table. It's back under the cup. It's back under the cup. And you're pretending like you don't realize that these things are happening while they're happening. That's essentially the easiest way to explain what Look, No, See is. This works really, really well in a children's magic show. So if you're looking to do children's magic and you're not really a children's entertainer, like for me personally, I'm not a children's entertainer, but I do a lot of magic for kids. As a matter of fact, in about 2 hours, I'm going to do a magic show for a bunch of 5-year-old kids today. And I'm going to do my sponge rabbits routine. So all it is just like a multiplying rabbits with like a mixture of like a sponge ball routine kind of built in, where look, the little rabbit's going to disappear. You see? The rabbit is completely gone now, and all the kids are like freaking out because not only is the rabbit still there, there's actually 2 of them now. They've multiplied. But I don't know that. I think it's just gone, right? No, the rabbit, there's 2 rabbits now. What do you mean there's 2? You too, yeah, you too. I know. You too, you're cool too. No, there's 2. There's 2. What? 2 what? 2 rabbits. No, there's not 2 rabbits. There's no rabbits. It disappeared. And then you see it. Oh, how did that happen? And now there's 2 rabbits. So that is Look, No, See. Last up, we're going to talk about the concept of a stooge, and more specifically, an instant stooge. So first of all, what is a stooge? A stooge is just someone that is in on the trick. They know how the trick works, but they're playing along and pretending like they don't. They might even go so far as to actually help you to make the trick work. So the easiest example of this is you borrow a bill from someone, like a $1 bill. You have them sign it, you fold it up into quarters, and you cover it up with the handkerchief. And you say, look, feel the bill. It's still under there, right? You can feel it? Perfect. You, sir, would you mind to feel the bill? It's still there? Yeah? And you, my friend, would you mind to feel the bill as well? It's still there? Perfect. Now watch. I take the bill, and it completely disappears. Not only that, go ahead and look in your purse, and you point to like the woman standing right over there. She opens up her bag and there's a folded bill in there and it's the signed bill. So it disappeared from here and jumped to her purse, for example, right? And the way that that would work is really simple. Each person that's feeling the bill, they're really genuinely feeling the bill, but the last person is my stooge. So they're not gonna feel the bill. They're actually gonna take it out and pretend like they feel it, but now they have it hidden in their hand. So now I'm holding the handkerchief, but there's nothing inside. And while they're looking at this, that guy is just very casually gonna toss the bill into that woman's purse. So now it looks like I've just vanished the bill and made it jump to her purse. But in reality, I had a stooge, a plant, a confederate. There's different names for this, right? That person was in on the trick. They were able to help me to ditch the bill in that woman's purse. Now, let's talk about an instant stooge. An instant stooge is someone from the audience that's a real audience member, but they don't necessarily know how the trick works, but they are playing along to an extent, right? So usually with an instant stooge, you're setting up a sort of dual reality situation. And all dual reality means is this person is experiencing something different from what this person is experiencing, or maybe even the larger audience, right? So here's a perfect example of an instant stooge. During my sponge ball routine, what I like to do is instead of having the ball vanish from my hand and appear in the spectator's hand, I like to hand each spectator a ball, have the ball vanish from one person's hand and end up in the other person's hand. So now this person's hand is empty and this person has two. Now, obviously, I can't have the ball really disappear from this person's hand. So what I do is I give this person the two sponges, I keep this hand closed, and I pretend to put something in this person's hand. So now they're holding nothing, but their hand is closed. So they know that there's nothing there. So what I do is I say, I want you to hold on to this little red ball for me. Squeeze your hand nice and tight, just like this. And would you mind open your hand as well? And close nice and tight. I want you to keep your hand closed just like this too. So what I did was I told them, I want you to keep your hand like this closed too. I didn't say, I want you to hold on to the ball. Because if I say, I want you to hold on to the ball, they're gonna be like, you didn't give me a ball. But if I say, I want you to keep your hand closed like this too, in their mind, they're going, okay, my hand is closed. There's nothing in my hand yet though. Maybe the ball is gonna appear in my hand. Like they don't know yet. They're not exactly sure what's gonna happen yet. So now their hand is closed. I do the magic move. Go ahead and open up your hand. They open up their hand and I go, and everyone reacts. And this person knows that there was never anything in their hand. But 9 times out of 10, like maybe even more than that, 99 times out of 100, this person just absorbs the applause and they don't reveal that there was never anything in their hand. They're just like, yep, it totally disappeared. And they're playing along because they want that gratification. They want to make the trick a lot cooler, right? They want to help you because you're helping make them look good. And then when the ball appears in that person's hand, they're still getting a magic effect because they don't know how that ball appeared in their hand. All they know is that they didn't have a ball at all, right? So what I did was I instant stooged that person so they were kind of in on a part of the secret without knowing how the whole secret works. So that's how you instant stooge someone, right? So putting an object in someone's hand and then making it vanish from their hand is a great way to instantly stooge someone. Obviously, there was never something in their hand, but they don't know that, right? Another way that you can instantly stooge someone is by having them choose a card. If you do like a reverse thumb fan, right? So like, let me show you what that looks like so you guys can kind of see. So what I would do is I would spread, so let me do a real thumb fan first. I would spread the cards and I'd show them to the audience like this. And I'd say, we have a full deck of cards here. And then I look to my person who's a regular spectator. They're not a stooge. They don't know how it's going to work, right? And I say, I want you to just see any card and I want you to memorize it, okay? Go ahead and see. Sorry, let me do that again. This deck is like all sticky because I've used it so many times. There we go. I want you to go ahead and see a card and memorize it. Let me know when you see one. Do you see a card? And they're like, yeah. The only card I could see is the 3 of hearts. So I'm like, memorize that card for me. So now I just forced the 3 of hearts on this spectator and they're playing along. They're thinking of the Three of Hearts, and they're pretending like they're seeing what I showed the audience, which was this, right? So the audience thinks that they're seeing this and thinking of any card from here, but in reality, they're just looking at this Three of Hearts. So that could be another example of like an instant stooge. But the idea essentially is that you're stooging someone without realizing that they're being stooged, but they are getting a little piece of the secret without learning the whole thing, so that they still get some kind of magical moment out of it. And it's kind of understood that they're not going to explain how the trick worked to anybody. Because I've had people afterwards, with going back to the sponge ball thing, I've had people afterwards go like, did you feel anything in your hand? And the person was like, 1 minute it was there and the next minute it wasn't. And like they're playing along, and we have that like, you know, like I wink at them and they wink back at me. Like we have that mutual understanding. So instant stooging can be a really powerful technique that you can include in your act to do some real hands-off miracles. All right, everyone, that is my video. Like I said earlier, thank you so much for watching. What are some terms and phrases that you guys, you know, didn't know what they meant for like the longest time until someone finally explained them to you? Or even just some terms and phrases that you think are really important that magicians should know? Drop a comment in the comment section below, and I will feature your recommendation on a future episode of Advice for Magicians. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, make sure to click the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell. That way you'll know every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to check out some more magic, visit us at obrienmagic.com and be sure to check out our online magic shop, where you will find the latest and greatest magic books, downloads, and accessories.